In today's episode of Raven Stories, Sanjana shares some of her insights as an immigrant. More importantly, she shares the story of her parents, their sacrifice, and their immigration experience. There's something for all to learn. I hope you enjoy.
How come like an 18 and 19-year-old are getting matched to the similar jobs that parents who've had like years of experience and degrees are getting matched to? So I think that was like the first like real like, oh, okay, like we may actually have to just do this on our own, and there's no real supports available.
Sanjana, thank you for being here and courageously sharing your story on immigrating to Canada. So for everyone who will watch this video, I would like for you to share a little bit of your background and then we can dive in.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Victoria, for asking me to be here. Um, my name is Sanjana Vision. I moved to Canada in April of 2012, so a little over 10 years or 11 years now. And it's been a interesting journey, and I think one that a lot of newcomers who come to Canada can relate to. I moved to Canada when I was 18, and I was about to turn 19, and I went right into university. So I went into University of Manitoba. So it was an interesting time in my life to move. Um, it's definitely a time where I think a lot of people when they're 18 prioritize friends and that. And so that was difficult leaving India during that time and moving here. But now that I look back at it, it was also the perfect time to move and go right into university, because then I made a new community and a new group of friends, and still friends with a lot of folks I met in university. So going back to kind of the start of the story, um, I moved from India. My parents had been trying to get PR for about 3 years. And so I kind of knew the plans were for the family to relocate, but given the timeline, it was quite up in the air. And once we got the yes, it was very quick. One of the most significant parts of that story, though, is that my parents applied for PR for the whole family. But so I have three older sisters. I'm the youngest daughter, and one of my sisters was married and already had moved out. And so it was three of us on the PR application. But one of the things that happened then was during the 3 year period when we were waiting for our papers to go through, one of my sisters aged out of what Canadian officials consider a dependent. So when we got the yes, they approved everyone in the family except my oldest sister. And so we went through a lot with immigration, trying to figure out how she can still immigrate to Canada with the rest of us. And that was very painful, I think, as a family. So
Imagine.
yeah, so she stayed in India actually, and we moved.
Almost divided the family, technically.
Absolutely, yeah. So it was a very tough period when we moved here without one person in the family. And we were navigating immigration lawyers trying to get her to come, but her visitor visas and every other visa kept getting denied. So that was, I think that added a layer of complexity to our move here. And yeah, like the family separation just caused a lot of pain. Um, Eventually, though, she did move to the States, and she still lives there. And we continue, we visit her there, she visits, but she never did end up moving to Canada entirely. In terms of,
This is your oldest sister that already got married.
no, this is my oldest sister who wasn't married. My second sister was married, and so um the second sister didn't apply, but it was the first, and then she was the one who went through all of this. So yeah. So I'm just going back to your question here in terms of like identity. Uh, I think immigration like forces you to grow up in a number of different ways. Like when I was in India, and again, I think this is something that's pretty common with a lot of newcomers. We still have that like view of our parents as knows of everything, and then you move and suddenly everyone's kind of starting
Fresh.
at ground zero. And so that was like really the first time I think I saw my parents in like a truly vulnerable light where they were very much navigating, you know, all the systems that we were navigating, but at the same time keeping us in mind, ensuring that there was a roof over our head, food on the table. And so that was a very interesting perspective shift. Go ahead.
Yeah, I wonder what that was like for you and your sisters, because then you're also at the cusp of your 20s, and um usually people realize that their parents are just parents like in the middle of their 20s, or
Mhm.
closer to their 30s. They're like, okay, my parents are just people too. But
Right.
as a teenager, seeing your parents be vulnerable in a way that like signifies to you that just people too is
Yeah.
it's a huge mindset shift, I think.
Absolutely, it really was. And honestly, sometimes people can go their whole lives not realizing that about their parents because they always have that. But it was in simple moments, the way that, you know, doctors would treat them, or it's watching them get turned down from job offers, or and it just was like a very strange time, but it definitely was very eye-opening, and we were all kind of in it together. So it did make us like just, I think, grow up faster in a way. And you know,
Sanjana, I have another question for you
yeah.
about getting closer because of sort of the shared experience. So oftentimes something that can happen in these types of situations is the family unit gets so close and everyone just sort of keeps everyone else out, and it's just like you four.
Mhm.
And while it might strengthen your bond with your family, it sometimes can make it difficult to form other bonds and really
Right.
assimilate into the society. So how did you and your family navigate that?
Yeah, that's a great question. Um I think we that was like a struggle. I think that was like a constant battle for how my sister and I were navigating life in one way, you know, from like our culture and like our upbringing. Like we were very much like family oriented and trying to help our parents. But at the same time, we were in university and trying to live that life. So those were always at odds with each other. Um, I don't think we closed off, kind of creating other bonds. And I probably will attribute that to us being in university and really being thrust into a community of folks who are all new in some sort of way to this experience of being in university. And so yeah, so that I think really helped us even just like meet new people, have new experiences, and you know, integrate a lot faster. Um, So yeah, I don't think we experienced that in a way where we like just kind of closed off. I do think my parents probably did though. I don't think they quite created that sense of community that they had in India, and they turned inwards and towards each other a lot more to get them through kind of all of the ups and downs of navigating a new country. And to this day, I don't think they've kind of you know, created that social net that they had in I had in India.
Would they move back to India?
I don't think so. I think my mom had a lot of just difficulties in India as well, and so her personally, she absolutely does not want to move back. And then it was actually my dad who wanted the family to move to Canada. So I don't think he'd move back as well. He does kind of talk about retiring in India again. He's a bit more religious, and so you know, he wants to retire and kind of do like pilgrimage and all of the religious things that he's kind of wanted to do. So that might be in his cards, but yeah, I think until retirement, for sure, he wants to stay here.
When your parents were applying for jobs, did he, so before they left India and they thought about coming here, they must have prioritized, okay, well, where will our kids school and what do, did they imagine that it would be such a challenge for them to find suitable occupations when they got here?
No, they didn't. So they applied through the economics stream. So they definitely, I think, had higher hopes than the reality here. So absolutely, like you said, we both my sister and I who were moving here, we applied to university and got accepted before we moved here. But my parents, they came in on the economic stream, and we were all matched to Manitoba Start to kind of go through the process. And my sister and I went into like a youth program of sorts where you get 2 weeks of training and then 2 weeks of like work experience. It was all paid for, and then if the employer wants to keep you, they kind of keep you. But my parents were in like the general stream, and I remember my parents like saying that they were also matched to jobs at like Walmart and Tim Hortons, and not necessarily like anything to do with their education or work backgrounds at all. And those were also the jobs that my sister and I were offered. My sister and I both, I didn't have any job experience or work experience in India. My sister had worked like some part-time jobs. And so it was just like, how come like an 18 and 19-year-old are getting matched to the similar jobs that parents who've had like years of experience and degrees are getting matched to. So I think that was like the first like real like, oh, okay, like we may actually have to just do this on our own, and there's no real supports available. So my sister and I, because we were both I think the fact that we were both, you know, fluent in English, we were able to kind of advocate for ourselves that these were not the types of jobs we wanted. We actually had specific interests in these fields, and so we got matched to the jobs that we had asked for. So that was really great, and you know, the organization helped us match with those employers. But my parents went on their own to look for work. So I think that was a different experience, and my dad too, like I think he wanted to eventually become an entrepreneur, and that never really panned out here. So I think they had to shift a lot of what they thought life would be here.
Hmm. Sounds like the average immigrant story. Like you have all of these dreams and hopes, and you move to a new country thinking you will unleash it there, and then you get there and realize, oh wait, I guess that's not happening.
Yeah, yeah, very much so. Yeah, sure.
How did you, or I don't want to say how did you, because even though it's been many years, I wonder how you and your sister bear the burdens of the dreams. Some of the dreams I guess your parents had have come to fruition.
Mhm.
Seeing you and your sister flourish in a new country. But how do you bear the burden of not seeing some of their own dreams come to fruition?
Yeah. Okay, you're asking like really great questions. But it was hard. And I think we still kind of face that, in that like we realized that you know, because they were so mismatched to jobs, they're behind their peers in kind of catching up to retirement savings and things like that. So I think they did well, kind of financially planning for what they could do, and you know, they have a house and things like that. My dad had health concerns, so he was on a health break, but I think part of the shared reality of all four of us, even though my two sisters are in the States, is really planning for our future with keeping in mind that we might have to support our parents during their retirement or as they age. And that just might be a reality. So, you know, as yeah, so and I think beyond like the financial aspect of it, there is the emotional aspect of it where you know, you do see, like I do see my dad, and I don't think he's ever openly said that he's been disappointed, but you just know that, you know, he wishes things had maybe turned out a little bit differently for him, and it didn't quite pan out the way that he had imagined, and it was his dream to come to Canada, and so I think it's just like a I think now we're much softer with that, but when you're kind of navigating the ups and downs in the early years and trying to have ground beneath your feet, I think my parents really butt heads about the urgency they felt to figure it out. And really, yeah, and they probably had like a lot more, you know, probably found it a lot more challenging than we did, kind of looking into their lives. So yeah, I think my mom now though is she's I think she's happy in her role, and you know, she kind of worked her way through the system, and but yeah, I do wonder kind of like where things would have been if we had stayed in India versus like us moving here. I think the biggest one though is for my dad, whose dreams didn't necessarily pan out.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What is your identity? How do you participate or show up as a Winnipegger? Because you are a Winnipegger, you are an Indian girl. How do you show up in society?
Tell me more about that question. Like, in that, like, how am I proud of being a Winnipegger, or
Not
like,
if you're proud of being a Winnipegger or Indian, but if in your day-to-day reality you wear the hat of I came to this country as an immigrant and now
mhm,
I call this home. And so I relate with each person that I interact with from the lens of I've been there, done that. Or
mhm,
there are some people that like 10 years is too many years for them to even remember what the process is. Or maybe it was too painful a process. They don't even want to remember or be part of those memories, and they fragment their identity in the sense of I need to cope, so I will just stick to this part of my life or my story that I feel safe in. So maybe a better way to phrase the question is, do you feel safe in the duality of your identity?
I think more so now. And I think as I keep growing up, um, more and more, if you'd asked me this question the first like 3 to 6 years of being here, I think I would have struggled a lot more to answer that question. I think particularly those first like 3 to 5 years, um, the pressures that you face in university or trying to find the right community where you like truly belong, you are constantly fighting to either distance yourself from uh you know, being an immigrant, or and in certain situations, and in others, you're leaning back into that and distancing yourself from being too Canadian.
Mm.
Um, and so you're constantly just fighting that. And as I grow older, I think I now have a great group of folks who are very diverse and who truly do understand. And a lot of them are newcomers. So I think, I'm not constantly explaining myself. And even folks who are born and raised here, I think they just have an understanding, or at least know to empathize with the different journeys. So I think I like hide that part of myself less. So I think that part's interesting, but I do think that kind of came with one, I think from in terms of my university friends, being friends with people who had similar life experiences. I naturally fell into those friendships, and those are the ones that kind of stayed the longest. And others are friends from university who just understood that and who always had friend groups or whatever's. And so that was really helpful. And then now, like at work, this is kind of what I do a lot of, and so the people that I meet naturally kind of tend to understand it a little bit more, so that's been great. But I think one that the part where when you go back to India and you realize just how much you've missed out on things, like my best friend in India, like as much as we're best friends and we can pick up where we left off, I realized that there's a part of her life that I just don't know. And then you're back in India and you're with family, and you're just realizing just how, like, yeah, how much you've missed out on and how foreign you feel in the country that's still home. So I think in certain aspects there, I still struggle. And then when it comes to, like, I think partnership, so my partner is Métis, and so it's really interesting for us to have like two different cultures kind of come together into like our everyday interactions, or special holidays, or the ways that we do things and what's important to us, the spirituality that each of us kind of carry. So for this space there to kind of navigate it and talk about it, and a shared commitment to understanding the other person. But it comes with the, I think the like you have to explain that to someone versus like if you were like if you continue to grow up in India, or like if I continue to grow up in India, like not having to explain some of those aspects of yourself. So in those moments, I think I'm more aware of like the duality of my identity. Um, but yeah.
You know, the comment about explaining oneself, I think for some people, they never experience that. So they don't know what it is to feel or be so unknown
Mhm.
in a social setting or in a cultural group where no one else in that circle has context for your life or
Yeah.
your culture, or just sort of the day-to-day things that you you live out, and you don't even realize that it's unique to a particular country.
Yeah.
And I guess as teenagers, you're still building language for so many emotions and just adulting, really,
Yeah.
which no one prepares you for.
Speaking of adulting, like that was huge. Like when you were 18 and 19, I feel like that's when parents are really talking you through, like, how do you check the oil in your car? Or like, how do you file your taxes? And because my parents were so busy just figuring their life out and putting a roof over our head, I didn't get any of that. And I figured out like a lot of that by myself and much later than my peers did. And now I'm 30 and I'm looking back and realizing that, like, oh, right, like I had a much later start on certain things because I navigated it by myself. Um, because my parents had other priorities, which not at all to blame them, but rightfully so. They had bigger things
They
to
also
do.
had no manual for like, oh
No,
no, we're in a new country. Should we go back? You know, like what do
yeah,
we do?
yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I think as I grow up, I like continuously kind of reflect on like on those pieces. Yeah.
Everyone is so new. And you know, like as I get older, I almost feel more grace towards my parents
Mhm.
because there just is no manual for adulting.
Yeah.
And, you know, like you have kids and then they look up to you and they think that you know everything and you just really want to tell them that like I'm just like faking it till I make it, you
Yeah,
know?
absolutely, for sure.
And
Yeah.
then the kids themselves are like, well, what do I do? Like I need someone to show me how to.
Yeah.
So immigration is very interesting that way. If you
Yeah.
had to do it all over again with your family,
Hmm.
would you vote for immigrating to Canada?
I think I would. And now that I again like have that like hindsight, I would. And knowing kind of like where I am right now, I would. Um, Again, I feel like maybe my answer would have been different. Like if you'd asked me in the first couple of years, I think just seeing my parents kind of like navigate it and seeing how hard it was for them, maybe my answer would have absolutely been like, well, no. Like, but I do think it was for the better. I think we've come a long way since then, um, and and I kind of am like, well, maybe if we had like, maybe been a little bit more prepared, but nothing prepares you for the things that are going to come your way with immigrating to a new country and starting over, like absolutely nothing. So I don't think anybody moves countries without, I mean, refugees are like forced to move. And so that's a little bit different, but no one who's intentionally moving does so without preparation. And I think it's just really hard to like know what you're getting into. So, um,
I think that the preparation focus has been a lot of the logical things.
yeah,
Like, will we have a house? Will our kids have a school? Will we have a place to eat? Will we have, some of the more logically make sense to have this,
yeah, yeah,
but not the really emotional parts of it, which are pretty significant and can
sure,
follow a family for generations.
yeah,
But somehow it's kind of the same way. It's only these days, or like in this new culture now, we have like Bell MTS has like let's talk about mental health day, and all of a
mhm,
sudden we're really concerned about what's happening inside because we're realizing that it has powerful influences on how people
mhm,
participate and just how people show up.
yeah,
And I think the same for immigration, where a greater emphasis has and continues to be placed on some of the more logical things, which are really important too. But um, I really hope that they can be more discussed on like
yeah,
what's inside for families. And
for sure.
are you
Yeah,
able to play the card game?
yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. Have you played this extension pack before?
No, I haven't.
Yeah. Okay, I'll shuffle.
Okay,
Okay, I'll just take the top five.
okay,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. I haven't looked at any one of them.
okay. So I'll do the second last one from this side,
From this side?
on the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay. This has to
Oh
do
my
with
God.
relationships.
Okay.
Okay. What have your past relationships taught you about yourself? Good and
Mhm.
bad.
Um, I think my past relationships is I don't know how to say this, but like trust yourself. Like you got your own back, and it's really, really important to build that trust with yourself, and to really like not put anyone else above you, where you're sacrificing yourself for their sake. I think that was a significant lesson to learn, and it's one that I keep going back to, is like continuing to build trust with yourself, that you can do hard things, and you do deserve good things, and you know, holding space for that high standard for yourself, because I think that will always pay off, and you owe it to yourself to have your back.
What's the bad thing it's taught you?
What's the
Bad thing, because there's good and bad. So that's the good. What's the bad?
What is the bad thing? I mean, I feel like
You're like, I'm awesome.
pardon?
You're like, I'm awesome. There's no bad thing.
No, I mean, I still struggle with it, and I still very much work on building trust with myself, and it's a continuous practice. Like, it's so easy to slip back into, oh, but they are so whatever. So it's hard work to continue to show up for yourself. And but it came from a place of being a people pleaser, and I definitely still am, but it's about like I went to therapy after like my last one, and I think that was where my therapist was so brutal. It was just like, okay, well, where's people pleasing taking you? And I was just like, okay, well, that's not very nice. But she was the
You're
one who,
not people pleasing me.
mm, but she was the one who kind of like said that phrase to me, you need to build trust with yourself. And it's one that that was like 5 years ago. And I still like tell myself, no, if you keep promises to yourself, if you like build trust with yourself, like that's what you can always come home to. What the bad thing is, like, honestly, like people pleasing will take you. It's just you not respecting your own boundaries, and your what's like, again, I go back to all the therapy I did after my last relationship, which was literally just her saying well, it was me just realizing just how much I betrayed myself to please someone else. And so, yeah, I mean, not at all perfect in that, but it's something I try to think of. Yeah.
Sanjana, this is so. Oh, I love this so much. I mean, I feel like each time I hear someone's story about their immigration, I just feel so connected to them for so many reasons. And just seeing that human side of them is very humbling. So thank you so much for sharing your story with me. And I'm so glad that I met you like through Jude's program, because I'm like,
Yeah.
oh wait, she's like she's like this entire person on LinkedIn. I guess I could tell her story if she wants to share.
Aw.
But
You're
yeah,
too
I'm really
sweet.
grateful.
Thank you. And you just asked like some excellent questions. So thank you for that. And it was great chatting with you and meeting you, and good luck on this project and
Thank you.
everything else you do after.
Thank you, Sanjana.
Sounds great. Well, thank you so much, Victoria.
No problem. And thank you for your time. I love the interview.